The Drive and Dish NBA back at it again with another episode. Although I feel like we're going to be kind of negative this episode. I don't know if it's just because I've been having a bad day or what, but I feel like this episode is going to be fairly negative. We are going to talk about some players coming back, so that is a positive. We want to talk about Ja Morant coming back, but I mean, between the Xmas games, the Christmas games, and COVID in general, I feel like that part of the conversation is going to be kind of disappointing. So let's start with the Christmas Day games. As of recording this, we are a few days out from the Christmas Day games. The commissioner, Adam Silver, has come out and said that they do not see a reason to stop play. Again, as of recording this, I feel like anything can change at any moment. I am very worried about this episode, by the way. That they're not worried about it. Teams for Christmas Day games have been told that they may shift times or the way that could go if ABC needs to. It is worth mentioning players have to return negative COVID tests, 2 of them, in a 24-hour period, or they will be sidelined for 10 days before they can resume play in the NBA. At this point, I'm not even going to try to list off the players that are on the COVID list right now, because there's a lot of them. The most recent one that I saw was Luka, and obviously he would have a Christmas Day game, so we will see if he makes it back in time for that, whatever goes down there. But in general, it's just, I tweeted it out. I actually totally screwed up the tweet too and butchered it because I was trying to get ready for work while I was tweeting. But I pretty much put out there, I was like, COVID, please don't ruin our Christmas Day games.
Oh, it's already past that, I think. I mean, again, not to keep the negativity going, but I mean, we're already down 1 game ruined, right, with Luka being out. So there goes the night slate. So,
well, he might not. I mean, if he returns consecutive negative tests, I mean, I don't know. Listen, I don't know. It's pretty close timing. So if he does, then he does. But it's there's not a lot of time for him to do it,
No, and you're more optimistic than me. So just running down this slate of games real quick. You got Atlanta and the Knicks at 12. You got the Celtics and Bucks at 2:30. You got the Warriors and Suns at 5. You got the Nets and the Lakers at 8. You got Dallas and Utah at 10:30. Not a bad slate to begin with, but again, it just all goes back to COVID. Like we said, we got Luka out in the Dallas game, and the one before that was announced today is that the Hawks had 3 more players. You got Kevin Huerter, you got Lou Williams, and you got Timothy Luwawu-Cabarrot, who are now on the COVID list. Trae Young has been dealing with being in the COVID protocols this week. So, I mean, look, these games are going to go on. I mean, we've got games as we're recording this episode that are set to go on tonight. We do have one postponement with Chicago and Toronto. Toronto is going to be a whole different ball game now too, with just the border restrictions that are back in place.
Yep.
I mean, unvaccinated people straight up aren't going to be allowed in Canada, so that's a whole thing right there. Obviously, we know the Raptors played in Tampa last year to try to avoid some of that. Chicago, we talked about last episode being ravaged with COVID, but that's the thing. This went from one team to basically everybody. And I don't want to just pick on the NBA because it's not remotely an NBA thing. I mean, NFL, we've had dozens of players out all across the league. The NHL is actually, they shut down the entire league early for Christmas, just basically said, hey, let's go home for the holidays. Let's get a grip on this. They're not going to send their players to the Olympics. That's something that obviously is a little different given their timing of the season, but they cite COVID with that. And, that's something the NBA doesn't have to worry about with the Olympics being in the summertime. But I don't think we're nearing a bubble again. I think that's a long way off, and that would take a whole lot for that to happen. But I mean, this is a situation where guys have the shots, they're boosted, but the way Omicron is spreading, I mean, thankfully it hasn't been serious largely, and a number of studies that have come out have shown the seriousness of this strain isn't quite as high, but it's extremely contagious, and that's what we're seeing now.
Well, and to that too, I know we're talking about it from like a basketball game, like will we get to see the game's perspective? The other side of this too is like, I know Luka had or does have an NBA game on Christmas, but from like even just players that don't, that were supposed to get Christmas off, that were probably going to go hang out with their family. Well, they may not feel comfortable doing that now, or on top of that, they might not be able to now. And that totally sucks. I think that's going to be kind of representative of everybody that in general is going through COVID right now. And it feels, it's not just the NBA. It feels like everybody, like specifically here in our building, right? When COVID was hitting, everybody was being really careful, and we still are being careful, but I'll tell you, it feels like I've heard more people getting it just in my life, you know, specifically this one more than ones in the past, you know?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think we're well past the point where I mean, I remember when this initially started, it was,
Yeah,
maybe you have a friend of a friend who had COVID and recovered.
right.
I mean, just from my experience alone, and this is just in the past 2 years. I mean, this isn't even in the recent surge, but my mom had COVID. Thankfully,
Mhm.
it's a-okay and healthy, but she was out of commission for actually last Christmas is when she had COVID. So it was before the vaccine came out. One of my best friends back home had COVID again, pre-vaccine, recovered. Hell, one of my producers here almost died from COVID last year. Like, I could keep going and going. Like, I'm just counting. That's without even me really thinking about it too
Sure.
much. I've been fortunate, knock on wood, I haven't got it. You've been fortunate, knock on wood, you haven't got COVID.
Well,
We both spent
that I
almost.
know of. I mean, maybe it's an asymptomatic thing. You know, that's kind of I haven't taken the antibody test, so I don't
Yeah.
know 100% if I have or haven't had it. But if I have, I was asymptomatic and never experienced anything.
Yeah, and I got boosted the other day, like quite literally 2 days ago. I got my
Well,
booster shot. Thankfully, didn't feel too bad about it.
it's good.
I'm going to be around elderly family members over the Christmas holiday, so I definitely wanted to be as precautious as I could be there. But the thing is with Omicron is it doesn't really matter whether I mean, they say the best way to prevent it is what it's been the whole time, and what the advice has been is get your vaccine and get the booster shot, and
Yep.
take the normal precautions that you've been doing, social distance, wear your mask where it's applicable, be careful inside. But and the NBA now has actually mandated the booster for anyone who works in remote proximity with players. I think they have to get it by like January 5th. This was pretty sudden. Two of my buddies that work for the league, quite literally got this in an email, and so they're both vaccinated, but they have to go
Sure.
get boosted. Um, this is it, people are still getting it. Like, that's the thing. And again, I don't want to remotely sound anti-vaccine. I couldn't be more pro it. If you get the vaccine, your case is going to more than likely be mild, and that is the thing with a lot of these NBA players is we're not getting these rough situations where they're going down for weeks at a time. I mean, many times these guys are coming back here sooner than later and getting out of protocol, but the Omicron variant has been shown now through, again, multiple studies from South Africa, where it originated from, but also from the UK, a place that's been particularly hit hard by Omicron. It spreads really fast. And I mean, the good news, again,
Hmm.
this isn't the way the Delta was putting people in the hospital and really killing people. It feels like, fortunately, that we're not dealing with that quite as much with Omicron. But I mean, we're seeing it in every sport right now. This is just not unique to the NBA, but it's the reality. I mean, really, this is the second full season with COVID, and really with the half season where they ended with the bubble, of course. But I think when we started the season and saw fans in the stands and saw most of the players back and everybody a-okay, I think for better or for worse, we got a bit of normalcy back when
Yeah.
this is just kind of the reminder here going into wintertime that it's still not normal yet. Like, we have a good grip on this. We're better prepared than we have been over the past few years, and there are more resources available, but we're not out of the woods just yet.
No, I agree, and I'll at this point, again, we're recording this on the 22nd at 7:45 at night for us. I'd be willing to bet there are some changes with the Christmas games when it comes time. When they're actually being played, I think things will move around and we'll see where it ends up, but I think some of it's going to change a little bit because of COVID.
Well, speaking of the Christmas games, actually, this has nothing to do with COVID, but it kind of worked out like that. Derrick Rose underwent ankle surgery tonight and is going to miss at least 8 weeks. A bit of breaking
Hmm.
news on the podcast. Obviously, huge loss for the Knicks. He's been great for
Yeah.
them. He and Quickly get a ton of minutes in particular. We've already seen Kemba Walker get kind of back in the rotation here. Got to imagine he's going to get more minutes now, especially with Derrick Rose out. But I mean, really, the last 2 years, we've seen how much of a spark that he's been able to provide to that squad. So, this is a big loss for the Knicks. They're still hanging tough here in the Eastern Conference, near playoff position, but make no bones about it. That's a tough one for sure.
Yeah, that one hurts. So hopefully the NBA Christmas games will have stars in them. We will see where it ends up with everybody on COVID lists and who can get back in time and where it goes. It's just one of those things where it's like, dang, man, that was one thing I was really looking forward to, watching some Christmas games. And they'll, I think they're still going to happen. I just think some of them might not have, the A+ roster that we expect to see.
No, I mean, we're already looking at, like we said, Dallas and Utah. We're looking at, if Luka's out, is already not nearly as intriguing. Half the
Yep.
Hawks have COVID. And just as we're recording this, in other Knicks news, Nerlens Noel has COVID, so he's in the protocols right now. He's at the minimum not playing in their game against Washington tomorrow. I mean, Boston and Milwaukee looks like it's on track. Golden State and Phoenix looks like it's on track. Brooklyn and the Lakers, same sort of deal. Everything seems to be going A-OK there. Assuming everyone is playing, I think we all agree that Golden State and Phoenix is the best out of these games in terms of sheer product. Not just in terms of those two being 1-2 in the standings, but I mean, these are probably, for my money, the two best teams in all of basketball right now. A super fun Western Conference matchup. Again, they've split their meetings so far on the season. The Warriors ended the Suns' winning streak. The Suns got the Warriors during that winning streak to really keep it going. Boston and Milwaukee should be a good one. I mean, that'll be more competitive. I think Atlanta and New York kind of, again, got the juice taken out of it a little bit. Of course, if Trae Young's not playing, we all want to see Trae going back to the Garden.
Right.
Brooklyn and the Lakers, again, just a lot of I guess on Brooklyn's front, a lot of the star power is MIA. Though the way Kevin Durant's playing, I think every game is must-see TV for him right now. The Lakers just, if nothing else, are worth the unintentional comedy. It's certainly been one of those type of seasons. Like you said, Dallas, Utah, I think could have been a better matchup, but if you don't have Luka playing, that kind of takes all the buzz out of that. I think the league's got to be thrilled that that's the 10:30 game at least, and not the one going on in the middle of the day. This isn't Steph Curry going into COVID protocols or Chris Paul going into COVID protocols. We still got the heavy hitters playing in the middle of the day, if you will.
As of now, though, and I don't want to sound like a negative person, but we got to keep an eye on that stuff. Who knows what the next 2 days really will hold for us as we go forward. One of the more positive side of things is Ja Morant returned for the Memphis Grizzlies. We thought he was going to be out for a little bit. He missed about 3 weeks, a little more than 3 weeks, with a left knee sprain. He sprained his knee back on November 26th when they lost to Atlanta. Like I said, he missed about 12 games. Memphis, though, did not really falter without him like we kind of thought they might. They are still the 4th seed in the Western Conference. They went 10-2 in his absence. Ja came back. They did lose to Oklahoma City, 102-99. Ja Morant said he was a little bit upset with the fans. He heard some fans in the crowd saying that he should sit back down. And he kind of pointed out those were the same fans that were shouting MVP earlier in the season. So I get his frustration. It's one of those things where it's like, it's his first game back, man. Like, give him a break. He's gotta get back up to game speed.
Well, sit down in what regard? Like, they just they were booing him, or they were.
Okay, hold on. I heard some of our fans telling me I needed to sit back down, and I guess from the fans' perspective was the Memphis was playing well without him. Like I said, they were 10-2. So I guess from their perspective was, hey, sit back down. We were winning without you. We don't need you right now. So he was a little bit upset by that.
Yeah. That's just weird. I mean, I figured if it was to sit down where it's like, hey, we're playing well, maybe take some more time to fully recover from that injury.
That's what I'm saying. Like, dude, we're fine without you. Take all the time you need. Like, what are you worried about? Jaren Jackson Jr. is playing well. He's coming into his own. He's the second highest scorer on the team while Ja's gone. Like, there's no rush to bring you back. And look, if he's 100%, you get your star back on the field, on the court. That's what I'm not going to argue that, but
Yeah, no one's doubting that. Give a lot of credit to Dylan Brooks Dylan Brooks has really stepped up in Ja Morant's absence, taking on a lot of that offensive role, averaging 19 points a game right now. But, with Morant out, you needed somebody who wasn't afraid to take the jumper. Dylan Brooks has not been afraid of those moments. And give credit to Desmond Bane, too. Desmond Bane's been phenomenal this season. One of those guys who I think already were like, how did he slip that far in that draft? It's him and Tyrese Maxey, really, where they got picked right next to each other. And, both of those so far look like prime. How on earth did they slip as far as they did candidates? If you're Memphis, you've got to be thrilled with this. I mean, like you said, Ja Morant went down. This team is fourth in the Western Conference right now. I mean, they're only behind really the big trio of heavy hitters, because I have Utah just slightly, of course, below Golden State and Phoenix right now. And it's not even like they're just hanging on to 4 by a little bit. Like, they're starting to put some distance here. And this is a situation where if they're fully healthy, they kind of should be ahead of a Clippers team that doesn't have Kawhi Leonard, ahead of Denver, of course, which is just ravaged with injuries right now. And again, if you're Memphis too, and you look at some of these rosters, some of these teams that you're ahead of, for example, with the Lakers or with Dallas, or even a Minnesota, Portland, especially down at 13-19 right now. Like, those are teams who are fully healthy and have expectations, and who pumped a lot more into this season than you did. Like Memphis, we knew we expected them to be back in the playoff mix, and you want to see these young guys take steps. But you're seeing all sorts of development right now. This core is finding itself. Again, you're adding your best player, only going to get better in there. Look, I wouldn't want to play Memphis in the first round of the playoffs. And, again, we always talk about the 20-game sample size. We're well past that at this point. Really, really impressive for them to hang. Again, they keep checking boxes. Like, you want to see these young core step up and do things. And last year we talked about the play-in game where, they were able to take out the Warriors in a game where they were the underdog, and, improve on what they had built by getting into that play-in game the season before that. And now here, you look at them being able to stay afloat and not losing their collective cool when their best player goes down. I know these guys are young, but that's the sign of a resilient locker room, a team who's not scared to go through adversity. And to see them still hanging around here at 4, I think you got to be ecstatic if you're Memphis right now.
Yeah, like, I mean, exactly what you said. It's a team that when we were just like, yeah, let's see them get back at it. Let's see them perform again. And this is well more than I think we thought they were going to be. It's amazing, and it's very surprising. If you had asked me when Ja went down what their record was going to be after 12 games, I would not have said 10-2. So congratulations to them. It's huge. I think Ja's frustration with the fans, I understand it. But I also understand the fans' perspective of, look, bro, we were 10-2. You came in and now we lost to Oklahoma City. Like,
I'm also not really reading that much into this. This feels like a non-deal and a non-issue. I think
it'll be fine.
We mentioned it before on that Bleacher Report article we talked about a couple weeks ago, but I just want to say this quick because I saw the Thunder and we talked about how just ridiculous that article was. It was their 25 under 25 list, and the fact that they had Shai Gilgeous-Alexander ranked 1 slot below Talen Horton-Tucker is one of the most egregious things I've ever seen written on the internet recently. I mean, good Lord almighty. And I know everybody's dumping on THT because of that bad game the other night, but that was just flagrant at the time. It's kind of like, are we watching the same game? I know everybody's got big market bias with the Lakers, but good Lord. I mean, that is just, nasty, nasty rankings and behavior.
It's just, it shouldn't be allowed, like there needs to be really a punishment.
Yeah, you should be banned after writing about, like, I don't want to be ridiculous here, but like, that's just a straight up ignorant take. Like, that just to me shows that you're not really watching the games if you think that SGA is that. I mean, we could do a whole podcast on why that's ridiculous. Welcome, everybody, to the Driving Dish NBA podcast. My name is Kevin Rayfuse. Joining me, as always, my co-host, Justin Kuzart.
Oh, crap. I totally didn't pull up. Hold on. I got it. Every time Taco Fall blocks me tonight, I will donate $1,000 to charity you all suggest.
Is this in the G League? Or because isn't that where Taco is right now? Like, I know he's in Cleveland's organization. He's got a 2-way contract, but
yeah, I didn't really understand. The photo didn't necessarily help me with that. But this guy, I think I'm pretty sure he's playing NBA ball, not G League, like NBA, like actually. Let me pull that up to make
All
sure.
right. Well,
Though.
so he's on Cleveland then. How about Lauri Markkanen?
No.
How about Kevin Love?
I think you're on the. I think you're on the wrong team.
Oh, it's not Cleveland?
It is not Cleveland. I'm pretty sure, unless I really just no, it's not Cleveland. We're good.
All right, who we got then? I have no idea.
Ennis Cantor or Ennis Freedom. Sorry.
Oh, he is Cancer Freedom. Oh my god. Yeah, that's yeah, because Taco obviously was in Boston for a while. He's in Cleveland's organization now.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about them a couple times, but shout out to the young Cavs, man. We got to start giving them some credit as not really just a playoff team right now. Like they're firmly in the. I don't know that I want to play them in the first round type deal. I mean, they're sitting at 3 as of recording this podcast. They play great defense, and I love their depth. I love their young guys aren't afraid of the moment. And the fact that they continue to do this without Colin Sexton makes it even more impressive.
Well, yeah, I was getting all kind of crap for our last episode that we did, where I think it might have been last episode where I was talking about how I didn't think Cleveland's defense was all that great, trying to pitch Ben Simmons to the team.
That's one of those
bro.
That's one of those moments where you just sit there, because I'm sure I do this on the show too, where I'm just in my head, I'm like, oh, Just, you're so wrong right now. And
You're getting wrecked.
But I also don't want to I don't want to unload the clip on you either. You're my guy. Like, I'm not going to just pop off as we need to. But I was sitting there, I'm like, wait, Cleveland's been really good defensively this year.
If you got to unload the clip, you got to unload the clip. Look, you got to keep it real for the podcast. So as of right now, they are number 3 defensive rating, only behind the Phoenix Suns and the Golden State Warriors, who, if you told me the Warriors were going to have the number 1 defense a few years back, that would have surprised me. But they keep on cooking.
Yeah, they do keep on cooking. Winners is 6 straight as of recording this podcast. Leave us a review on iTunes on the podcast, good or bad. We will read them here on the show. If you're not an Apple user, Stitcher, Amazon Music, Google Play Store, Spreaker, Spotify, TuneIn, anywhere you can find a podcast. Oh, excuse me. You can find us.
Yes, and we did find our lucky number 27 subscriber. So we appreciate the subscription. Let me see if I can pull up the name quick. David. Schma. I'm not going to do it.
Oh, no, Just.
I'm not even going to try. David, thank you. Also, I'm getting wrecked. I didn't see this comment. Andrew said Justin's attempt at an Aussie accent is pretty rough. So, that was from a few days ago, which, by the way, again, Andrew hit me up on Twitter the other day. He sent me this. Hold on, if I can pull it up. There's a new Australian basketball team. And if I can pull it up in time, gosh, so many tweets today. It's called the Darwin Salties. And it's like a crocodile holding the logo with a basketball under it. And I told him, I was like, I am a sucker for really out there sports team hats. And that seems like a perfect hat to have. Like, nobody is going to get that reference. Like, nobody in Jacksonville, Florida is going to be like, oh, right, that's the Australian team in the Northern Territory. Like,
no, but
they're not going to know.
Props on it, too. Yeah, no one, especially in America, is going to have any idea. But you'll definitely get props on it. Shout out to whoever will be subscriber number 28, by the way. 27, Dave, is the Rudy Gobert of YouTube Drive and Dish subscribers. It turns out there's not really a lot of great 28s. Probably not really that surprising. A couple of people, Sam Cassell actually wore 28 when he was 38 years old. So he was a backup point guard on the Celtics then at that point. So in 2000, Jameer Nelson wore 28.
I like that.
Jason Capono wore 28 in his last NBA season. Of course, 2-time 3-point champion. Not really a great list, I got to be honest. But you're going to be one of those. I don't know which one you want.
Aaron Aflalo, apparently.
Oh, I used to be jealous of Aaron Aflalo.
Why?
Oh, is that too deep in the archives?
Yeah, it might have been too deep for me.
There's a Kendrick Lamar song from back in the day.
I should have known.
He starts it out with I used to be jealous of Aaron Aflalo. What was it? I think it was Black Boy Fly from the Good Kid, Mad City album, which is about to be 10 years old, which it makes me feel something. I don't know what it is, but
Yeah.
it's nothing good. I'll tell you that. And now a word from our sponsors. So something that is good that we are here to talk about on the podcast is Manscaped. We are a couple days away from Christmas. If you got to get those last minute ideas in, you're running out of time real quick, but maybe it arrives a couple days after Christmas. Don't worry, we won't tell anyone. But you can go to Manscaped. Listen, give your ladies a gift too for the holiday season. Get all trimmed up down there. Use the lawnmower 4.0. It's right, the fourth generation trimmer. It's got a ceramic head. It's got different speeds, lengths for whatever you want to do down there. If you want a 1 and we get really like down to nothing. If you want 4, leave a little bit there. Listen, this is a no judgment zone. The Lawnmower 4.0 will do that for you. Plenty of other great products as well. T-shirts, boxers. They got ball deodorizer, which is wonderful. I'm not gonna lie, I've been using that. It's great. We got the theme parks here in Orlando. Listen, going to that restaurant, need a little quick spritz up before you're in public for a little bit. You don't want to be offensive to anyone. Just saying, gets the jobs done. And you get the job done. Use the promo code DISH20, and you'll get 20% off your order at manscaped.com. Plus, you'll get free shipping. Everybody loves free shipping. Come on. Nobody wants to pay for shipping in 2022. Use that promo code DISH20. That's at manscaped.com.
So there is some talk around the NBA, and I want to get your take about this. Kyrie Irving making a return.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel about it?
I think Kyrie Irving won. And I'm not saying that I agree with that, but his stance worked. I mean, at the end of the day, and look, the Nets are saying this is because of circumstance. They're saying it's because of COVID outbreaks and them having to put guys out and having shorter rosters. And basically they just approached the front office and said, yo, we need Kyrie Irving as a part-time player. And look, with the load on Kevin Durant, I completely understand it from a basketball perspective. Like Kevin Durant is just being asked to do a remarkable amount night in, night out. Because it's not just the injuries that Harden's been dealing with and then not having Kyrie. Like the Nets rotation has been pretty ravaged with injuries and COVID as well. And so I get needing the reinforcement, but boy, this sure feels like a step back and a loss for the NBA. No, it's like they've been, beating the hell out of getting vaccinated. And it kind of felt like with Kyrie Irving, like they were going to step in and say, yo, you're one of the league's biggest stars. And we don't care. This is a stance you're taking. We're not doing this part-time BS. If that's what New York is, it's the way it is. You're not going to be allowed to play. You're not going to be allowed to practice. And it does. It feels like Kyrie took the league a little bit for their lunch money here.
Well, and so I'm just reading right now a story that's talking about how, he's going through COVID protocols right now. If he tests negative, 2 tests, obviously 24 hours apart, like we were talking about earlier, he could potentially return for a Christmas game. Yeah, again, and that's like, whoa, like for him, I mean, biggest stage, why not? Why not get back out there? But yeah, I mean, there's a part of me that feels like the NBA kind of was like, all right, we'll kind of soften our stance a little bit to let you back in. Now, whatever, like either way of however you feel about this, you feel about it, but a rule's a rule, and now they're changing it again to let them back in.
Yeah, and I mean, to me, it also just feels ridiculous that it's like, yo, we're undermanned because COVID's so bad, and we're going to welcome an unvaccinated player back. Like, It's like, hey, my house is on fire. Like, pour some gasoline on it to put it out. It just kind of doesn't make sense in the way that the league is trying to get a handle on it right now. It's like, hey, let's welcome back the league's most vocal unvaccinated player right into the locker room.
But I would also say from the NBA side of things, the NBA Christmas games, depending on COVID problems, could be less than exciting to watch. What would make it more exciting to watch? Oh my gosh, Kyrie Irving's back and he's playing against the Lakers, like it would get people to watch.
It would. I guess, though. I think some things are bigger than just audience viewership.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, money talks, and they got advertisements and deals. They got to,
Well, and I did think Kyrie would play this season at some point. I kind of thought it would be more of New York relaxing their vaccine rules than anything more than Kyrie taking it.
Yeah.
I think Kyrie, that ship has already sailed. Like, I mean, we're at the point where if you're not vaccinated by now, I don't really know what it would take short of being forced to do it via mandate, which the NBA has not done for any of their players at this point.
Right.
I also do think Kyrie would be willing to walk. Like, I think he's one of the, Kyrie is financially secure. Like that's the thing is Kyrie's rich. He can walk away. It's easy to walk away when you don't need the money.
Yes.
For a rotation guy, for somebody who, may not have that long of a career, we're looking at that situation where maybe they think a little differently about it. But I don't really know what the league, short of the league mandating it, I don't really know what type of convincing it's going to do to get them vaccinated. I just think it would be, I think most of us were betting on the league changing and that COVID kind of starting to die down. It sure seemed like it trended in that direction. And then Omicron came in right before the holiday season.
Well, and that's the part that feels the weirdest to me is like you would think if the NBA is going to make a decision like this to let him back in, it would be all right. Everything's pretty chill. We're not having any troubles. Here you go. Come on back. Where it's the complete opposite. They're like, yo, we got major problems. We can't even field teams half the time. So, yo, we need you back just to have another body on the court, which, I also wonder how the players feel about it a little bit too. I'm sure some players will be like, good for you, man, sticking to your guns. But others are going to be like, yo, you're going to have him out here and risk us even more. Like, what is this?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I certainly think it's a case by case basis.
Yeah.
I'm sure there are plenty of guys who are super hardcore on the vaccine and definitely feel that way. I think there are other guys who maybe don't care as much. It's awkward. Like it's a tough situation for everybody, not just Kyrie, but the league is going to have to be flexible. Like that's the biggest thing is that, look, I know that this was our first, normal schedule in a while, and we've been trying to get back and we've been pretty close. And the league has obviously been able to adapt on the fly. I mean, one of the biggest changes this week is we saw the additional hardship spot. Guys are getting chances and are getting picked up on rosters. Some notable names.
I do
Isaiah
like
Thomas
that.
playing for the
Yeah.
Lakers again. The big one today, Joe Johnson, ISO Joe back in the league playing with the Celtics. First time in 20 years. I loved all the Mavericks fans saying or trying to pull Dirk Nowitzki out of retirement. Saying you still got it. Give us one more year. So
I will it's going to be a tease. That's actually one of my ballin' and fallens is Joe Johnson. We'll go a little deeper into that when we get to it.
Okay, all right. Listen, I'm a big fan of ISO Joe. I just love seeing him around no
But
matter what.
I saw
I'll just say
I saw a tweet saying it's kind of funny, and I find it ironic that when everybody else has to isolate, Joe Johnson isn't.
yeah. Oh, that just clicked a little bit. That's real funny. That's actually good. I like that a lot.
I was like, dude, that's clever.
Joe Johnson, if he hits 11 3-pointers, and again, I'm not expecting heavy rotation minutes at Joe Johnson here, but if he hits 11 3-pointers, he's up from 14th to 12th on the NBA all-time three-point list. That is absolutely bananas.
That might have been part of my ballin' and fallen.
Oh,
so.
I'm sorry. I should have stopped there. I should have known better. That's my bad.
It's all good.
Let's just get right into it then. Who's balling, who's falling, our NBA version of the stock market. We always like start with the good before the bad. Go ahead, Just. What we got? Who's balling this week?
Well, actually, Joe Johnson is not my ballin'. He's in my he's in my fallen. So we'll get it for a second. But I wanted to bring up the Basketball Hall of Fame. The eligible candidates were announced. Manu Ginobili, one of the big names that was on it. So ballin' is Manu Ginobili for being on it. You think they get him in?
Yeah, definitely. I think Manu's definitely a Hall of Famer. Good class overall, but yeah, without a doubt. Not just and the thing with the Basketball Hall of Fame too is it's not just NBA. It's we're looking at the whole picture here. Take the NBA out of the picture.
Coaches, refs, everybody.
Yeah, what Manu Ginobili means for international basketball too, and it always runs with Argentina and how much
True.
Obviously, the 04 one being the most prolific with winning the gold and upsetting the United States and bringing that home at the Athens games. I think his Spurs accomplishments go without saying. We don't totally got to rehash the resume, but I think this is a no-brainer. Manu Ginobili in the Hall of Fame, and he'll get to celebrate induction hopefully in person if COVID's not bad.
Yeah, we'll see how it going. So he's my ball, and what's yours?
All right, balling for me. We talked about this a little bit last week on the podcast. Got to mention it again. Deron Williams, 1-0 in his boxing career. He beat Frank Gore on a split decision in their fight. The biggest reason he's balling for me is that Darren Williams won this fight and said, "Yo, I'm done. I need to stop messing around with this. Like, I'm going to leave this to these knuckleheads." He's going to own his MMA gym still. He's got that in Texas, and that's kind of why I think the initial thought was, Frank Gore played NFL. What is Darren Williams doing? And I think we shot him some bail because he's been training MMA, and we showed it a little bit here. But good for D. Will, man. Get your check and get out while the going's good.
Well, and I had buddies that were texting me after the podcast, hitting me up saying like, "Yo, you're 100% wrong about Darren Williams. He's been training MMA ever since he got out of the NBA, and he is going to wreck Gore. Like, Gore is not going to know what came after him." And there was that one clip where he almost pushed Gore out of the boxing ring. Like, he really.
Frank Gore looked like he was surprised he was getting punched. I'm like, bro, it's a fight.
It's like, bro, what are you doing? So yeah, it was. Either way, it was cool to see the fight. I honestly, I'm not gonna lie, I forgot it was on, and I was out having dinner, and I saw the update about it, and I was like, oh damn, this fight's on. But either way, yes, congrats to him, and I'm sure just from that fight alone, he's gonna get so much more business for his gym.
Yeah, I'm glad. Well, I'm glad nobody got hurt. I think that's the most important, because we've seen not to totally go on a tangent here, but we've seen the rise. I mean, namely with Jake Paul, obviously, but with we've seen a lot of these celebrity boxing fights recently. It wasn't like a fantasy fight, but obviously the big exhibition fight was Floyd and Conor McGregor. But this has trickled down into, you had Jake Paul and Tyrone Woodley. You had D. Will and Frank Gore on this undercard. And, one of the more, I guess with boxing, people need to realize that, which I feel like it should be said when it's a combat sport, but like, these are trained fighters. This is not something that you just pick up and do without understanding the risks that go into it. Jake Paul, who, mind you, I knew nothing about and tried to know nothing about, like, I almost made that a point intentionally, but he had an interview before this last fight, which, mind you, he won. He hasn't lost yet in any of these exhibitions, but, he's 24 years old, and he was doing an interview pre-fight where, he was talking about memory loss and slurring his words and all these other, like, just straight up brain damage that he's got from these fights. I guess that too is what's balling for me for D. Will, is where it's like, if you are not a trained fighter, if you do not know what you are doing, this is not a fight this is not a sport you just willy-nilly pick up for a paycheck. Like,
no.
You really can hurt yourself boxing more than some of these other sports.
I guess you never watched Bizarre on Disney Channel?
I can't say why. No, what is Bizarre on Disney Channel?
That's what Jake Paul was on it with Olivia Rodrigo, for those that want to have a little bit of a celebrity pop culture info for them.
Wait, really?
Yep, dead serious.
Right, both of them were on Disney Channel show.
Together, yeah.
Wow, I'll be damned. I had no idea.
Bizarre, it's called Bizarre Vark. I've never watched it, but I know about it. My brothers watched it. They seem to really like it. So I don't know. Either way,
Rodrigo definitely ripped off that Paramore song too. I know you're in top 40. This is your wheelhouse, but she stole the hell out of that. I'll say it. I know you can't. You're a DJ. You have to be professional here. Olivia Rodrigo stole the hell out of that song, and I know that they're not directly similar, but like, I had never heard it. Obviously, like, I'm not a teenage girl. She's not really marketing her music towards me. But I heard that song on the radio, and I did. I started singing Misery Business right away. I was like, this is the same beat.
You
can plead the fifth. Plead the fifth. It's fine. Like, you can get out of this. I'm shooting you bail.
It might have been inspired by, but who knows? She did have to give a lot of credit to a bunch of artists, and that was kind of something that's been following her ever since she put that album out.
And that's fine. If you give credit to the artist, if you come out right off the rip and say, yo, this is inspired by X, I like so-and-so, like, you can pay tribute stuff. No idea is original. Like, music is, there's going to be samples. I mean, I listen to hip hop, like, it's an entire genre.
I guess
sampling. But, just don't try to hide it. Like, don't try to outsmart us. Like, can't run a game on us.
No. All right. So my fallen is going to be Joe Johnson. Not because Joe Johnson is back in the NBA, but it's because, like you were saying, he can move from 14th to 12th all time on the NBA leaders list. So congratulations to him. I'm sure, I'm sure there's like who were the you just said him a second ago, the guys he could pass. I'm totally blanking on their names right now. Dirk, was Dirk one?
Let me pull up the list right now.
Okay. Well, oh yeah, here he goes. He's five behind.
Why is he falling?
Well, fallen is for Dirk and Jason Kidd. This is why, because he has a chance to pass both of them. So fallen is for them who thought they had their spot solidified for a little bit, and now they're getting passed potentially. I mean, he does have to make the shots, which who knows how much time he plays and what it actually does.
Wait, is Jason Kidd really that high on the 3-point list?
Apparently, according to the stat I was just reading.
Holy crap! I'm stunned. I genuinely, I'm truly stunned. And obviously, Jason Kidd is a Hall of Famer. I'm not like Jason Kidd was billed as a pretty bad shooter his entire career. What is he doing here at number 12?
He's chilling at number 12, man. Yeah,
that is bananas. He has 1,988 3-pointers. LeBron's ahead of him.
Of course.
He's had him dirt. That is crazy. JJ Redick, a guy known as a shooter. I'm floored. I truly am floored. I did not think Jason Kidd was even. I wouldn't even remotely put him in the top 15 for 3-point list, number 12. I mean, Joe might pass Dirk. Like, I do think there's a real chance of that. He's not going to be getting a lot of minutes. So, like, he's only on a 10-day contract. But
listen, if I'm
COVID, and then he might. So
if I'm Joe Johnson, if I touch that ball, I'm shooting a 3. Like, I don't even care where I am. I'm shooting that 3. I also wanted to point out that the Celtics traded Joe Johnson on February 20th, 2002. I think you brought this up. The 19-year, 305-day gap between the time he's been with the Celtics is the longest in NBA history. So,
yeah, that is. I mean, it's outrageous. What else?
That's longer than most careers. So,
yeah, no doubt about it. All right, falling for me. I got to do it. I hate folks in a 1 game, but man, Talon Horton-Tucker was so bad the other night. 1 of 13 shooting, 0 of 8 from beyond the arc. I think it was the most 3-pointers in Lakers history without a made field goal. Final stat line of 3, 2, and 1 and a -18. I mean, look, it'll be fine. I don't think this is a big deal, but woof, man, that's a bad 1 game.
I was watching a few nights ago. I went to the Jacksonville Icemen game because we were watching some hockey. And by the way, another throwback to a retro hat that I want. I want so badly a Lizard Kings Jacksonville Icemen or Jacksonville hockey hat. A throwback Lizard Kings. That's like deep in the archives. If you're not in Jacksonville, people are going to be like, what is that team? Like, what is that? So I think that would be huge. But I
got a jersey.
You do have a Lizard Kings jersey?
I'm looking right now. I found a jersey.
Oh, yeah. The hats.
No, I don't own one. Are you kidding me?
The hats they show up, but you're buying like a used hat, and I feel weird about that a little bit. If that makes sense. Are you
expected to find a brand new hat? Are you expected to find some dead stock from the 90s?
I mean, I don't know, dude. I'd prefer it to not be a used hat is my main problem, you know?
Yo, know what should have been my fallen this week? When did NBA jerseys become hard to buy? I have not tried to buy an NBA jersey in probably like 6 or 7 years at this point, genuinely. There haven't really been any I've been interested in. My team, the Sixers, just don't really have that great of jerseys that often either. Like, I'm not going to lie. They don't really do anything really for me, except this year. Bro, I wanted that Spectrum jersey so bad. Their alternate one that they dropped this year, the history one. I want the Joel Embiid one, obviously. And they are impossible to find. I mean, you cannot find them anywhere short of paying like PlayStation 5 resale prices. Of course, the only one you can buy online, there's one Sixers jersey available that they have one of these retro jerseys for. And you know who you can get without even hesitation? I feel like you know the answer to this question.
Ben?
Yeah, of course. It's Ben
Simmons.
Hold on. Who's going to play in the jersey?
Hold on. Okay. All right. I'm all over the place right now. One, I'm going to finish my comment. The Lakers game. Shout out to Austin Reeves, who hit the game winner. That was insane. Back to what you were saying. A Philly running back, if I can find it quick enough, tweeted out.
Oh, Miles Sanders. This is about the booing, right?
Yes. So Miles Sanders, and I got what he was saying, right? Oh my God, why can't I find the damn tweet? But what he ended up saying was, don't boo. These guys work too hard to be here. Here it is. Stop booing the players. We put our heart and soul into this with a red heart emoji. Or, I'm sorry, a black heart emoji. I'm not necessarily sure if the heart color matters, but it's what he put. So I responded. I said, I know he worked hard to get where he is. Like, I'm not hating on Ben Simmons for that. But Ben Simmons is really putting his heart and soul into not playing for the 76ers right now. So they're going to boo him every time going forward.
I appreciate that you took that completely unrelated Miles Sanders Eagles tweet and found a way to link that back to Ben Simmons. Like, I didn't even know where we were going.
He's from Philly. He's from Philly.
Look, the Eagles fans, especially of the Philly segment, we know what it is like. And
yeah.
I mean, honest, like, you know what the Eagles won pretty convincingly over Washington last night, but they were down 10-0 at one point to Garrett Gilbert, who was been on the team for like a week and a half. Orlando Apollo's MVP forever, baby, AAF champs. But yeah, it was like one of those situations where the Eagles were down 10-0, so I think everybody was shell shocked. Now again, they won the football game, and so I don't think anybody was really too upset in the long run. It's Philly. It is what it is. Like, I feel you, but I just I don't know. Like, I get that, but I think you almost encourage more in a way. That's like it kind of goes back to the Ja Morant thing, where I'm like, why are you giving these idiots any attention? Like, really? Like, especially everyone in Memphis knows and respects Ja Morant. Like, there's nobody there that really wants him gone. Like, I don't know. It's kind of like I don't like giving idiots attention. I feel like that's like what a lot of it is one time,
So you don't want to talk about the guy that ran on the field at the Jags game and tried to catch a touchdown pass from Trevor?
How did that happen, Justin?
So, okay. I mean, I could pull up the whole TIAA Bank field, but for anybody that's never been there, TIAA Bank field is connected to a stadium. It's literally right next to it. And in the middle, the place that the venue, the concert venue, is called Daly's Place. So Daly's is Daly's Dash, which is like a Wawa, a convenience store, gas station place brand. They own the middle part, which is like this open area where you can go and buy food, buy beer. Like, it's a really nice area. They do some awesome cooking down there. And what the Jags did is they opened the walkway that you would be walking down onto the field. They opened it, and you can pay 20. I mean, it is not a great season, so like $25 will get you out onto this little tarp that lets you essentially be right below the field goal area where the wall would be. So you can get like you're right there. It's really cool. I actually have taken a few photos there. Like, you're on the field essentially. The problem is the only thing blocking you from literally running on the field is a fence. And yes, they have security there, but I mean, you say something to security, you talk them up all game, and then they let their guard down and you run right past them. So the guy jumped over the fence, ran onto the field. So I wonder if he ruined it for everybody with that little, like, kind of like subtly unknown place that you can go in Jacksonville at TIAA Bank and kind of watch a football game. Like, instead of buying tickets, I will buy the highest 400 level ticket in the corner that I can find for 10, 15, 20, 30, whatever it is, bucks. And I'll go stand down.
It's like 7 in Jacksonville right now. Are you kidding?
It's low. When I bought one, it was 15 the other day.
My bad. Excuse me.
It was $30 total. I bought 2 of them for my wife and I. But we hung out in the Bud Zone, which is right above that area I'm talking about. And then we went down there, and you can get frozen, like, mixed drinks. You can get some ballin' ass pulled pork. Like, it's good down there, man.
Yeah, I have no doubt about that.
You probably ruined it, though.
It was really good.
So
it's just bananas. Like, with all the security that exists at NFL venues, and I know, like, I've been there. Like, I've been to Daly's Place. I know exactly what you're talking about. When I worked for the Jaguars, that Daly's Place wasn't built yet, so that wasn't really there. But I obviously don't work for the team anymore. It was, or what was it? Yeah, it's crazy. And like, you see things like weird, random things like this. Like, I don't want to just dump on Jacksonville. I think this has happened all over the place, but like, that's bananas. He was sitting in the end zone. Like, thank God they didn't throw a pass. Like, what if Laviska Shenault runs over it?
Not even that. What if the play just kind of drifted that way? What if it was a pass play? He
intercepts the pass and starts running it back. Like, what happened?
My God. Well, dude, I mean, listen.
Jags about to sign him, low-key.
Not even that. Well, if he can catch the damn ball. But no, seriously, like, there was high risk of injury for that guy. Like, Those big dudes in all pads and helmets don't see you there, and just, I mean, that's a problem, and it would have been way worse than it was, and it shouldn't have happened. And I'm wondering if it ruined it for everybody else that likes going down there. So we'll see.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's getting through that gate again. No way around it. So as we move here out of who's balling, who's fallen, we do want to start to wrap things up a little bit with the Warriors. We talked about the 3-point record. Of course, Steph Curry did break that in the Garden the other night. Officially, the 3-point king.
I feel like we called that it was going to happen in the Garden. I brought it up. I was like, is it more important for it to happen at the Garden? I don't think it's a big deal. And then it happened, and everybody on ESPN's like, it's so poetic that it happened at the Garden. And I was like, damn it, we called that.
I didn't think he was going to get shut down by Tybalt completely for a game and then just go cold in the following one after. I'm not going to lie. I thought he was going to break it before then. But yeah, of course, super fitting to break it at the Garden. And I mean, I think he knew afterwards the symbolism or the symbolism of it being there. It was cool to see the Garden embrace it. Obviously, great to see Ray Allen, Reggie Miller on hand.
I mean,
custom jersey, those three guys doing the
what I want to know, were those guys in Philly? Were they at the game in Philly? Did we make them waste a trip?
I don't know. I don't think so. I feel like because at that point it was obvious. Like Steph needed to hit 2 3-pointers at the Garden. It's like, Steph's not hitting 2 3-pointers a game. Either he got hurt or he just got COVID.
I mean, you're not wrong, but at the same time, he was. It wasn't that he was struggling; it's that people were taking extra precaution when guarding him. Like they were really making sure he wasn't going to score it on him,
Yeah, you don't want to be the team that gets the record broken against you. I understand, but it was bound to happen anyway. Obviously, Steph Curry was already the greatest shooter of all time before this record, but it officially just solidifies it for a lot of people in their minds.
Yeah.
I think when Steph is all said and done, he's going to be a lot closer to the top 10 than I think we're well past just talking about greatest shooter of all time with him and Steph Curry. I mean, between him, LeBron, and KD, those three right now in particular. I mean, LeBron we know is on another stratosphere with him and MJ essentially being on their own like GOAT tier. But I mean, KD and Steph Curry are moving up that list really, really fast. And those are two guys in particular that I think, their skill set is going to allow them to continue to age well, assuming health and that everything stays. Like, I think both of these guys could continue to play well into their 30s, but it's like, no, enjoy this while we have them because these really are two all-timers. And,
yeah, I agree.
Again, Steph Curry, and in terms of just revolutionizing the game, I mean, Steph Curry is probably a top 5 all time in terms of just like it's stylistically and how he impacted everything. I mean, we talked about on this podcast from even when we started 9 seasons ago about how much the 3-point revolution has changed the game.
Yeah.
That's the face of it all right there. He's the guy.
You're not wrong. I'm trying to do a thing right now because I'm worried I'm going to miss some. If you had to guess how many times Curry has scored less than 3 points in a game this season, how many games do you think it's been?
3 points in an entire game?
3 3-pointers. Sorry, made 3 3-pointers.
I was going to say, I was like,
never, none.
Game. I was like, what? Did you just not play? How many games did he miss this season? 3, 4?
7 total. And I'm trying to see minutes played to make sure there wasn't like an injury or something like that. No, it looks like those are legit. One was after he was inactive. He only scored 1 point or 1 3-pointer. The rest are all 3, and then the first game of the season against the Lakers, he only had 2. But everyone else, I mean, Charlotte held him to 3. Charlotte again held him to 3. That's kind of hilarious, actually.
These are the hometown bidders, apparently.
Yeah, Minnesota got him at 3. Phoenix got him to 3. Philly got him to 3, which is what got me started on looking at this, which is hilarious. Phoenix and Philly held him to like the same exact. He attempted 14 threes. He only made 3 of them.
I mean, it makes sense, though. Like, Phoenix is a great defensive team. We talked about their top 2 defensive team in the league right now. And Philly had Matisse. Like, I think Matisse is just one of those unique players who's equipped to deal with Steph Curry. Like, I don't really know. I mean, him and Ben Simmons are the 2 that come to mind where you just put them on the perimeter and let them go to work.
Well, and not to not to get too deep into the weirdness of the side of collectors in the NBA and stuff like that. But for those that are getting into the metaverse, those NFTs, Curry is selling NFT sneakers for you to wear in the metaverse. They are $333 NFTs. So I don't know how you convert that to ETH, but convert it if you must. 2,974 NFT pairs will be the only match that he sent. Obviously, it is to match the new NBA 3-point scoring record. My wonder is, like, does he add more every time he gets hired? Like, are there more shoes each time he gets a three?
He should. So Rich Kleiman is KD's main business partner. He's like his manager, I think.
Okay.
But he's heavily involved with like the boardroom and 35 Ventures and all that other stuff. He tweeted about the metaverse the other day and says, "Oh, there's no virus to worry about in the metaverse." It's like, fam, computers have been getting viruses since they existed. It's like, what are you talking about? There's no virus to exist in the metaverse.
Mostly that's like what happens with a computer. You buy one, you get a virus.
Like, you have LimeWire, bro? Are you serious? Like, listen.
LimeWire, FrostWire. FrostWire is another like low-key throw one that I don't think people know about.
Well, so FrostWire was after LimeWire died. Like FrostWire, I don't think it had the run that LimeWire had. Where like FrostWire became a safer long LimeWire, but it just started to like it came as people got better at torrenting, and B, like you could. And again, we don't promote piracy, but you could.
No, you should not.
Like there were just other things like that where you had more options. You could get whole albums without having to go on FrostWire and give your computer AIDS.
Well, and on top of that, like FrostWire would be like the low key throwback, subtle hint hat that I would want to wear. Where like the generic one to wear would be LimeWire. Like people know what LimeWire is. People would know the FrostWire hat, but they'd be like, "Dang, I hadn't thought about that in a minute."
Yeah, I mean, I had it, and then and then me being the genius that I am, realized that when you go to college and you're on a shared network, that you probably can't use FrostWire allegedly on the shared network. And I was like, "Oh, why doesn't my FrostWire work?" I figured that out real quick.
Nobody came to talk to you. No one allegedly came to talk to you about that, huh?
No, we're still good. Okay. Again, all alleged, of course. Klay Thompson is allegedly returning on January 3rd is the earliest against the Heat. They're saying that looks extremely unlikely. The two dates that have been thrown out, this is all via Woj, was January 9th versus the Cavaliers or January 18th versus the Pistons.
Of course it is. Because why would you want to come back and play the Heat when you could come back and play the Pistons?
I'm like, why? I was like, wait, what? I was like, what's the symbolism here?
Why would you want to come back and play against the Heat, the Mavericks, the Cavs, the Bucks, or come back or the Bulls?
Like Cavs for old rivalry's sake? You could reignite the rivalry?
You come back in the Pistons and you get you eat. It's easy, it's slow, and that's no hate on the Pistons. It's just look at what the comparisons are here.
The Pistons just ended their 14-game win streak. They're up to 5 wins on the year.
You mean lose streak? 14-game lose streak?
Oh, did I say win streak?
You did.
They definitely. Oh, the Pistons do not have that. The Pistons have 5.
Okay, just making sure. I was like, maybe it's like this defense thing. I just got it wrong again. Didn't realize they were going off.
Oh, and their next few games are going to be gross. Like Cade Cunningham's in the COVID protocols right now.
Yeah.
Obviously, Jeremy Grant's not playing. Kelly Olynyk hasn't been playing in weeks. The rest of the Pistons season is going to be disgusting if they trade Jeremy Grant.
It'll be as gross as the Jags season.
Yeah, I don't even know where to be. You're living it now. And I'll always have it. Like I do. I have a soft spot for the Jags. I always will. Not just because I worked with them, but like those fans deserve a lot better. Those fans have always been kind of ripped on for a little bit. But it's like, no, they deserve better, man. Like the Jags have been terrible for 10 years, basically. The Jags had that one blip, and I'm convinced, and I say this all the time, I'm convinced they win the Super Bowl if they go to that Super Bowl. To this day, I maintain that they would have won that Super Bowl that the Eagles won. Now, I'm glad selfishly it didn't turn out that way. Are you kidding me? I would have never gone back to that city if they beat the Eagles in the Super Bowl. I would have had to lay low for a little bit, but no, I'm convinced. But besides that, yeah, it's been I mean, ever since they beat the Patriots in that rematch, I was actually at that game. Shout out to Russell. It was his bachelor party.
I remember
And
that.
He was a big Patriots fan, and they got completely smoked in Duval. And it all went downhill after that. Like, I was wearing my Eagles Super Bowl shirt because, of course, I was. And I remember a little Jags fan going, "We'll see you in the Super Bowl," and I'm like, "Yeah, dude, let's go."
And then they just
did not go that
nothing.
way. No, not. It all went downhill after that.
We have been on a downward spiral since.
Yeah, something like that. We're never on a downward spiral, hopefully, here, though, on the Drive and Dish NBA podcast. Thank you guys, everybody, for listening. We appreciate you. Merry Christmas. Leave us a review on iTunes, good or bad. That can be our Christmas gift. We'll read them on the podcast. If you're not an Apple user, Stitcher, Google Play Store, Spotify, Spreaker, TuneIn, Amazon Music, anywhere you find a podcast, you can find us.
Yes, and be subscriber number 28 to our YouTube. We pretty much just put these episodes there. Maybe some stuff will come in the future. There's stuff we want to do. We just don't have time. So we're hopefully going to be able to do that for you. But until then, you can at least find the podcast videos there and interact with us there. Drive and Dish NBA on YouTube.